risk. Russian units are sustaining losses of 70 to 95%, with only the command staff being left alive in the latter case before being declared combat ineffective, according to a Russian source. This is a far higher level of accepted casualties than in the Second World War. The author of the Vault No. 8 Telegram channel discusses the level of losses at which a unit is considered to have lost combat readiness and requires withdrawal for replenishment, according to US Army doctrine, though misattributed here to Clausewitz. If I remember correctly, then when 30% of personnel losses are reached, the same assault company must be withdrawn for replenishment in order to preserve the experienced core of the unit. At 50% losses, the unit is considered defeated and requires immediate withdrawal for replenishment. The Central Military District amazed us with new loss standards, which, after all, someone approved. For example, in our unit, it was 70% of those who lost combat readiness. Only then was the assault company withdrawn from combat. And in the White Cuirassiers of the Central Military District, from October 2023 to March 2024, according to a volunteer admin, the infantry in the companies was worn down to 90 to 95%, until only the command and control remained from the assault company. In both cases, if we compare it with the very reasonable classics of military art, grinding down assault companies to such a state is allowing the defeat of the advancing unit. Once again, 70 to 95% loss is the defeat of the unit, with the destruction of the combat-ready backbone, which at least learned something during 14, now 21 days of training and took part in the first battles. That is, based on the classics of military theory, the Butcher commander carries out the task, allowing multiple defeats of his assault units. An interesting question: how many defeated Ukrainian defensive units were there compared to the number of our assault companies defeated at Avdiivka? What is the ratio? The Butcher commander prevents the transfer of combat experience in assault companies because he allows those who have gained real combat experience to be killed. After receiving reinforcements, the commander leads new recruits who have never seen combat. It's very interesting how bloody bravado has come into play in the style of "I killed 5 storm units for this village," isn't it? Okay, some bloggers from Telegram are discussing modern military leaders. But what about Clausewitz and other classical theorists of military art? Should they also go to hell? And how will future generations evaluate this experience of the special military operation?
Росіяни втікають і залишають за собою лише купи сміття.
And this is an example of those losses straight from the field. Ukrainian FPV drones struck positions of the 1st Slavic Brigade of the so-called DNR. According to reports, everything at the site was destroyed by fire. Uniforms, food, water, drones, radios, generators, all equipment, and even the motorcycle used to deliver supplies to the trenches.
Hello. Our daily life, and in the PV, burnt our entire tent, all the generators, all the supplies.
The Russians tried to break through to our positions on motorcycles for 6 days in a row. Senior Lieutenant Andriy Krivoshchenko, S3 Section Officer of the Svoboda Battalion, Rubich Brigade of the National Guard of Ukraine.
Military 2. For 6 days in a row, the enemy tried to break through to our positions with 2 or 3 motorcycles. They try to change something after the enemy fails several times in a row, and then they start to change something. Popo. Are they somehow trying to preserve their personnel? Is there some logic to their meat assaults? Military 2. I have never seen the enemy treat their personnel carefully or gently.
Footage shows the moment a Shahed drone struck residential buildings in Kiev. Last night, Kiev endured one of the most intense and tragic assaults in recent memory. Between July 30th and 31st, Russian forces launched a massive combined attack involving 3 9 Shahed drones and 8 Iskander-K cruise missiles. Ukrainian air defenses successfully intercepted 208 of the drones and 3 missiles, but 5 missiles and 21 drones evaded the shield and struck the capital. Russian invaders have intensified their use of loitering munitions to strike Ukrainian territory. The Ukrainian Air Force and several monitoring channels reported on this. The enemy used these types of UAVs during a combined attack on the night of July 31st. At this time, it is unclear how many of these drones were deployed. The Ukrainian Air Force also reported the use of at least 8 jet-powered drones, alongside standard Shahed drones and decoy UAVs on the northern front during the night of July 30th. These drones are likely a localized version of the Iranian Shahed 238, developed by the Russian defense industry and designated locally as the Geran 3. There is also reason to believe that Russian forces previously used the Geran 3 UAV, or one of its versions, in attacks on Kiev. Overall, the first reports of the invaders possessing this type of drone surfaced in February 2025. At the end of June, wreckage of a Geran 3 drone with the serial number U-36 was found, indicating that these drones are currently being produced in small batches. According to Russian propaganda sources, the Geran 3 UAV measures 3.5 meters in length, has a wingspan of 3 meters, and a maximum flight altitude of 9.1 kilometers. The drone's flight duration is estimated to be up to 2 hours, and its takeoff weight has increased to 380 kilograms, significantly exceeding the 250 kilograms of the previous Geran 2 drone. Ukrainian drones will soon be sold in the US, and the armed forces will receive new American weapons, according to Rada speaker Ruslan Stefanchuk. This fall, Ukraine's defense industry is set to unveil new developments that will surprise the world.
I cannot reveal the details, but I think that sometime in the fall, the Ukrainian defense complex will surprise not only Ukrainians, but the whole world with its new developments, which are being invested in by global economies today. I want to remind you of the Danish model. I want to remind you of the Czech model, which finances or supports the armed forces of Ukraine through its funding. We are open to new communications. We are expecting a new mega deal with the United States of America. This is when Ukrainian drones will be sold to the United States, and Ukraine will purchase the latest weaponry from the United States. This is a completely new chapter, as we are beginning to become security providers for the entire world, because we have unique experience, we have unique technologies, we have unique security products that we can offer to our partners.
And an interesting news at the end. US Coast Guard in Miami offloaded approximately 9,970 pounds of cocaine worth $73.7 million. The seized contraband was the result of an interdiction on June 24, 2025, approximately 120 miles northwest of Ecuador by the crew of the Tahoma. I couldn't be more impressed with the determination and teamwork displayed by this crew. They executed this interdiction with precision and professionalism, said Sea Commander Nolan Cuevas, commanding officer of the cutter Tahoma. Behind every successful deployment is a dedicated team of logistics and support personnel. Their tireless efforts ensured we had the resources and maintenance support to operate. Our collective actions reaffirm the Coast Guard's unwavering commitment to protecting our nation's borders and the safety of our citizens. Detecting and interdicting illicit drug traffickers on the high seas involves significant coordination. Joint Interagency Task Force South conducts the detection and monitoring of aerial and maritime transit of illegal drugs. Once an interdiction becomes imminent, the law enforcement phase of the operation begins, and control of the operation shifts to the U.S. Coast Guard for the interdiction and apprehension phases. Interdictions in the eastern Pacific Ocean are performed by members of the U.S. Coast Guard under the authority and control of the Southwest Coast Guard District, headquartered in Alameda, California.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comments section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.